Now, fast forward to this morning. A key distinction in this deal is that 5% pay raise would be paid for with budget cuts, not the governor's revenue projections. Now, we're going to have much more tonight on First at 5. But again, our top story, like you mentioned, Sydney, a tentative deal has been reached, and lawmakers are confident that the strike is coming to an end. Reporting live in Charleston for 5 News, I'm Mike Valente, keeping you connected. Well, first off, it might get a little loud. You can see these trucks behind me going to the scene. Nicole, fortunately, no one was injured, but there are still 2 pretty big questions we're looking for answers tonight. That's 1, how much coal is in the water? And 2, what does this mean for the drinking water for people who live nearby? Police and first responders rushed to the scene, and at this point, a woman who lives across the way was watching it all unfold. She told me that before the first shot even rang out, she was suspicious when she saw Richard Barnard's car circling the area for 20 minutes. Police and staff say the mass shooting at a church in Texas Sunday is another chilling reminder that any place is vulnerable. On average, ATR sells 1 binary trigger a week. Yesterday, they sold 73. Yeah, Austin, Judge Jacob Rieger decided to reschedule the post-trial motions hearing that was set for today in order to give prosecuting attorney Christina Flanagan more time to respond to these motions. A reality show reboot causing some controversy here in the Mountain State. After the announcement of West Virginia Wilder, the reboot of the MTV show Buck Wild, Senator Joe Manchin fired off a complaint letter to the network. He says the show warning residents about a new scam that apparently is trying to fool people into believing they're speaking to someone from the Mon County Sheriff's Office. An evacuation order is probably not what people expected when they went to eat at the Grand China Buffet in Fairmont earlier this afternoon, but that's exactly. Melanie Smith, Amanda Doss, Jackson Montgomery, and Amanda Hurley want Matthew Foudy removed from his position as general manager in the wake of what they describe as years of unprofessional and strange behavior, as well as harassment.
I shake, like I'm terrified to even step foot in there.
Smith is a senior and news director at U92. She claims she's been the subject of workplace bullying at the hands of Foudy, dating back to when she joined the station her sophomore year. The students vividly recall Foudy making sexually suggestive comments to Smith on air.
Jokes about Mel's body, about her sex life.
I've known girls that can unhinge their jaws like snakes.
And when she confronted him, she says he downplayed it, calling it all an act.
To be thinking about what you're wearing when you go to work, be thinking about what you say when you go to work. A place that for us is our second home because we just feel so threatened that we don't know what could happen next. That's pretty disappointing.
Foudy, who's in his 30s, is also alleged to have made inappropriate comments to students over Twitter and Facebook and messaging students excessively. In August, Foudy told Smith he would only contact the news department through email from that point on.
He told one girl, she said something about my cat loves to smell me, and he said, ... the best smell in the world.
The students became so unsettled that in June they went to Adele Crow, the director of student media, who apparently told them she would file a Title IX complaint on their behalf. Crow declined to comment to 5 News. Corey Farris, the dean of students, and a representative for the Title IX office both said they couldn't confirm or deny if an investigation had been launched. But emails obtained by 5 News show that in October, Cindy Scott, a Title IX senior investigator, told Doss that she informed Foudy of the investigation. When Doss asked why Foudy had only been told now, Scott replied that she was waiting until all of the evidence was collected.
We did everything legally, we did everything by the protocol, by the book, and nothing has happened.
The students say some action had been taken, though, and that in September, Adele Crow worked to scale back Foudy's autonomy over the station. But last week, they learned that decision was being reversed. Doss stepped down as program director, and upwards of 50 students went on strike. 5 News has reached out to Matt Foudy several times. He has not responded, but he told the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette that there are a number of Title IX investigations against him. Neighbors have been waiting to hear this sound.
It's been there for a long time.
For years.
I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to make it a lot safer to keep people from going in and out.
They're cleaning Grafton up, and I think it's nice that they're making it look better.
Joyce McCormick lives across from the building. We talked to her last year after residents started a petition to have it torn down.
I mean, when it was up, but everybody running out kind of, worried me a little bit. You didn't know who they was.
The old Grafton High School building was erected in 1915 and later became Grafton Middle. It closed for good in the 1980s and has been vacant ever since.
Young kids running in and out all hours of the night, people stealing stuff out of it, knocking windows out, shooting them out. So it needed to go. really bad.
You know, I'd sit there and watch bats come in and out of their rats, raccoons. To me, it was horrible.
And neighbors tell me it was only a matter of time before this building came down on its own.
To me, it was a big eyesore. You can't see anything, and to me it was dangerous for the kids that are in this area because of the condition of the place itself.
City officials acknowledged the building was deteriorating and hurting property values. But even as the bricks came down Thursday, some were feeling sentimental.
At the same time, it's sad because, you know, it was historic, and I wish there would have been more they could have done with it, but at least now, you know, there's no danger of somebody getting hurt in there.
Every day, Ron Shaver drives his four-wheeler from his house up to a small little cabin, a quiet spot atop a hill, overlooking his 40 acres of property. But lately, that trip back and forth has become increasingly difficult. Soon, Shaver fears this part of the road will be virtually impassable.
There is rocks in that slip. Big rocks. It's just broken half.
The tipping point came last month when the road began to give way. Shaver believes the blame lies squarely with Mark West Energy.
Big backhoes and big dozers and everything that's on this road. And it's just too much. The ground can't take it.
In 2011, Shaver signed a $4,500 right-of-way agreement with the company. A second contract gave Mark West access to this road to get to their pipelines. Shortly after the slip occurred, Shaver says a representative with the company came out to take pictures of the damage. But now when he calls, he's told it's not the company's responsibility because they haven't used it in a year. A paragraph in the temporary access road agreement stipulates that the grantee, Mark West, agrees to pay, quote, any reasonable direct damages that may arise from the construction
or maintenance use of the said temporary access road. As soon as they found out that they had a liability here, they cut me off. They won't do nothing.
And this isn't the first time Shaver has had to go up against the oil and gas company. 2 summers ago, they were able to resolve a dispute over another slip on his road. Mark West had a rock basket and culvert put in. However, a damage release agreement signed in 2016 states that Shaver is willing to release Mark West from all claims for any damages which, quote, may occur or hereafter occur on the property. Shaver maintains that applies to only one part of the road and says he'll continue to make his case until the company takes action.
They paid me $5,000. They couldn't have possibly got by with less than $50,000 for the headaches that it's caused me.
Okay, so first of all, the death certificate and the newspaper say that he's in Holy Cross Cemetery.
Joel Strange's year-long search for the remains of Patsy Ballot has culminated with a trip to Clarksburg's Holy Cross Cemetery. Locating the precise burial spot, though, is like finding a needle in a haystack.
Apparently it's an unmarked grave. Whether or not he ever had a headstone, who knows? Unfortunately, the cemetery doesn't have records for that period.
He may well be in this area here.
But this amateur researcher is too invested in the story to stop now.
It's a great story about life and death and a person's life in the United States. An immigrant who comes to the United States, tries to make a life. Didn't work out that well for him.
In 1911, 20-year-old Pasquale Bilota left his home in the Calabria region of Italy to settle in the United States. People in Clarksburg knew him by his American name, Patsy Ballot, a poor, eccentric artist who relied on friends for housing. Until 1931, there didn't appear to be any reason to believe he had enemies. But then one February night, Ballot got into an apparent confrontation with a woman at a cafe on East Pike Street. Shortly after, her husband came in and shot and killed Ballot. The suspect admitted to the crime and was put on trial, but he was acquitted in the spring of 1931 after claiming he killed Ballot to protect his wife.
They feel that he was murdered in more or less cold blood, That's how the family feels.
The chance for justice is long gone, and now the family is looking for closure. Stranges has been spearheading the search. It's a debt of gratitude, he says, owed to a friend he met in Italy 18 months ago.
He helped me trace my family back to 1800 and did a chart for me and everything. And then he said, now as my fee, could you help me bring the remains of my great uncle back from America?
So for the last year, this retired property manager has worked tirelessly to gather information, take meticulous notes, and comb through records of Ballot's life.
Patsy Ballot. There he is.
There we are.
He's a citizen. He's
I
registered.
know more about Patsy Ballot than I know about my own family.
And even as he searches, Strangis concedes he may never find the remains, but he hopes to get his hands on one of the artist's carvings to send a piece of Ballot back home to Italy. 4-5 News, I'm Mike Valente, keeping you connected in Harrison County. Parents, students, and fans lined the streets Friday.
Everybody's so excited.
We got this game won.
Packed up the cars.
I go to every game, away games, playoff games. I go to every game I can.
And cheered on the Polar Bears as they set off on their journey to Wheeling.
Good luck, Connor. We love you. Go Bears.
Bus is about to take off and energy is palpable. These players hoping to deliver Fairmont Senior its first state title since 1946.
It would be huge. The town would probably shut down for the whole day. It would be crazy.
We've been waiting for this for years. It would just, it would pump the whole community up, you know, if we could get this title tonight.
Roger Wright has been a diehard Polar Bears fan since he graduated high school in 1969.
Just tradition, the players and family, and they're just good players, and the whole community is excited.
Led by WVU standout recruit Dante Stills, the Polar Bears defense will have to contain a formidable Beavers offense that's averaging nearly 47 points per game.
Mingo Central, they was averaging 57, and we held them to 6. So, you know, just one more step and one more piece in the puzzle, then we should be okay.
And although they admit it'll be a tough fight, these fans say their boys are up for the challenge.
Our boys, they pulled through all year long. They played strong. They're a team. They play as a team.
So we have a great group of seniors, and I just think it would mean so much to those boys. You know, this will be their last and final game for Fairmont Senior. It'd be a great way to end their career.
4-5 News, I'm Mike Valente.
Polar Bears are gonna win it, baby!
Keeping you connected in Marion County.